Welcome to Study Loop.
In this question, the price of coffee is rising sharply, so the price is increasing, but the equilibrium quantity, the quantity sold, is not changing. It's remaining the same. So let's evaluate 5 different people's theories. First, let's look at Leonard, who says that demand increased, but supply was perfectly inelastic. Well, let's just graphically represent that. If we have perfectly inelastic supply, we of course have a vertical line. And let's just use a regular well-behaved demand function. If demand increases, it's going to drive up the price, but not change the quantity. So Leonard is correct, but that's one possible explanation. Let's look at Sheldon, saying that demand increased, but it was perfectly inelastic. Well, here's demand being perfectly inelastic. Here's a well-behaved supply function. We're saying that demand increases. Well, that is going to drive up the equilibrium price like before, but it's also going to change this equilibrium quantity. So Sheldon could not be correct. Let's look at Penny. Penny is saying that demand increased, but supply decreased at the same time. Well, let's draw well-behaved functions for both. So supply is going to decrease, and demand is going to increase. Well, we see that it's entirely possible that the new and old equilibrium quantities line up, but it's not necessarily true. And of course, the price is increasing like before. But this question is only asking who could possibly be right. So within that context, it's possible that Penny is right. So we'll give her the check. And then fourth idea comes from Howard, who says that supply decreases, but demand was unit elastic. So let's just draw a conventionally shaped demand curve and conventionally shaped supply. Well, if demand is unit elastic or any sort of regularly shaped demand curve and we decrease supply, if demand is not perfectly inelastic, then any decrease of supply is going to drive down the equilibrium quantity. So Howard is not correct. And then finally, Raj says that supply decreases, but demand was perfectly inelastic. Well, that's what we were just alluding to before. So we have well-behaved supply and inelastic demand. Supply is going to decrease, not increase. So that's actually going to drive down the equilibrium price while not affecting the quantity. So Raj is not correct either. So in the end, Leonard is potentially correct and Penny is potentially correct, while the other three are not.